Let's go for the actual score. Europa, natural
Greetings, humanity, and welcome to Europa Natural Law, a roundtable transmission dedicated to healing the madness, badness, and sadness plaguing our beautiful, bountiful world this autumn. Through regaining our sanity, reclaiming our inborn sovereignty, and honoring our inherent responsibility, we can improve reality. That's what we're going to do right now. I'm Nemo Jones, reporting for Beauty in Devon. And I give a chance for everyone else to give a little introduction of themselves. Over to you, Markus.
Okay. Hello, I'm Markus. I'm a content creator from Austria, Middle Europe, and I have a channel called Roter Lotus, which means Red Lotus, and I do translate the episodes of What on Earth is Happening into German. That's short introductions.
Yeah, I'm Wolfgang Kämpfer. I'm from Germany, and yeah, I'm a member of the One Great World Network, and in this roundtable.
Yeah, Derek Bartolocelli. Had a pleasure of having Alpha Vuka on Dissolving the Divide, which I had with Leslie Powers. I'm in her wonderful space and place at this moment in time on the West Coast side of things, California, but I stay Frenchified by the Mediterranean normally, but yeah.
Go for it, Param. Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you, Param.
Unmuted. How's it now? Yeah. I'm Param. I'm Dutch originally, born in Amsterdam, but now I've been living in France for quite some time. So French became my first language. And I discovered Mark Passio's work, and now I'm at the task of translating everything. I create a character through which I speak and deliver, well, natural law teachings. And so far, I'm not very good with the technical side of things. That's why I took the class this year. Hello, everybody.
That's Mark Passio's class, How to Become the True Media.
And the true media, yeah.
Oscar?
And I also unmuted now. Yeah, I'm Oscar. I'm in Denmark, finally got my internet working, and happy to be part of this conversation, which is all about fear. It's all about fear. Let's get into it.
Cool.
Markus, do you wanna introduce the topic for us?
Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
Sorry, I just wanted to invite Param to maybe give a little bit more backstory of how you came to join us, because you haven't been with us before. So really, it's just how you your mini autobiography and how it relates to natural law, really, because we're just interested in how people end up wanting, reaching this subject, because there's a lot of different routes to it.
Yeah. Well, I've been brought up in a Sikh community. My parents, Dutch parents, became Sikhs, and far before I was born, my father decided to put me in a Rudolf Steiner school. So yeah, I guess I could be blessed to have those two balanced influences in my life. The sacred feminine, I would say, with the Rudolf Steiner school, and somewhat of the sacred masculine. This self-defense principle that's pretty strong in the Sikhism movement, at least originally. And at some point, a friend of mine just drew my attention to Mark Passio's natural law seminar, and that was really a turning point. And we started translating the material, which took some time. I think we went through the video, I don't know, so many times. I'm not counting. I've stopped counting. But anyway, it slowly sank in, and well, the next step is delivering, and that's when I created this character. I'll introduce you to the character someday. Anyway, he's all dressed up, kind of, and some. You can't really say what time he belongs to, but anyway, the main point is what he says, what the character says, and it has to do with natural law, and it's a way to have people's defense mechanism drop, because it's not a conversation from one to one person, and then like, okay, that's your point of view. At least you have people to listen through all through. Usually, you invite people to have a nice little show, and then well, they just have to sit there and listen through. I thought that's my tactic so far, and but that's not reaching a large audience enough. That's what I figured with Mark Passio's. He insisted he keeps insisting on that point. So that's why I took the class, because I want to fill in the gap with all these skills I'm still lacking, and that's why I'm here. And I'm really happy to be amongst you guys. We're only guys here.
Yeah, it's funny, unusual. So yeah, just for people that don't know, Mark Passio, who's been, I think, a big influence on everyone involved in the channel, has over I'm not sure, a few years, has run a course called How to Become the True Media, and yeah, that pretty much sums up what it's about, and so that's what we're talking about when we mention that. So the subject is fear for this week. So welcome everyone. So it's great to have you all here. The subject is fear. Obviously, it's a really it's a massive subject, and it's been so interesting for me, like meditating on it this week and really feeling into it. Normally, I've been in the habit of doing a bit more of an introduction, but I thought this week we could pass over to Markus to give us a bit of a grounding in the subject. So if you'd like to take that away, Markus.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, just before a technical note, can people mute if they're not speaking, because we've got a little bit of noises on some of the mics, certainly. All right, thanks. Over to you, Markus.
Okay, thank you, Neem. Okay, it's just there are two main dynamics within within the creation, within nature, and it's fear and it is love. And why is it important to know them? Well, it's because it has everything to do what we ultimately create in our reality we all share. First, before I mention what fear is, we have to know what love is, the opposite force. Love is a force, it's an expanding force, so it expands your consciousness. And by the way, if you really want to get in detail with this, I recommend you to start with the podcast of Mark Passio. It's called What on Earth is Happening? And take the episodes, please, in order. Start with episode 1 and then go through episode to episode. Do not watch it at the end. That is important. Okay. Because these two dynamics is really detailed mentioned within the first 6 episodes. I know that because I translated it totally in German, sentence by sentence. It was really a lot of work. So love, it's an expanding force. Yeah, it's expanding your consciousness. What does this mean? This means when love is within your heart, you will care what is happening with in yourself and what is happening without yourself in the outer world. With no love, you will not care about what is happening. When something cruel is happening in our reality, you will just ignore it. Yeah. And things will manifest you do not want to see in world, like wars and torturing, etc. That's why we need love. Love is the main causal factor when something good manifests within the world. After love, there comes dominion. This is a stance within ourselves. That means we are not divided within ourselves. There is a trinity. It has three components: thoughts, emotions, and actions. And you need all these three components to create something in reality. You can't miss one step. Yeah, you have to plan something. You have to trigger the emotions, the passion, and with the passion, you just take action in the real world. It's not difficult anymore when love is within your heart to do not the easy things, but the right things. Yeah. And this state is called dominion. It's when sovereignty within yourself manifests. Yeah, it's called dominion. And both brain hemisphere are connected with each other. They are not divided anymore. That's dominion. And that's where sovereignty manifests. And after dominion, when the masses are in the state of dominion, then freedom manifests within our world. So now we know a little bit what love is. We can imagine it. Now it's easier to understand what fear is. It's just the opposite of love. Fear doesn't expand your consciousness, it shuts it down. Yeah. When fear is within your heart, you will not care what is happening. You will just the only thing you really care is then yourself, your ego identity. Yeah. When wars are happening, you just don't care. When slavery is expanding around the world, we unfortunately see in our world, then most people do not care because they have fear in their heart. It's important to know this because a lot of people are just are on Telegram channels and say, oh no, this terrible thing, this and that, everything, a lot of bad news are spreading around, but they're just sitting there and say, I do not want this manifested thing in the world, but it is already manifested. You have to go to the causal factor, and this is fear. Then this bad manifestation will stop when the masses are not in fear anymore. Because with fear, the next step is confusion. This is the opposite of dominion. It's also internal stance, yeah, confusion. And this means your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions are not in unison. Yeah, they are divided. You think A, you feel B, and you do C. Nothing makes sense anymore. You are totally confused within yourself. It's like when you are on a ship, yeah, and there are three captains, and the first captain say, this way, and the other says, no, this way, and the third one says, no, you fools, we have to go this way. You have to see it this way. The ship can't divide and go in three separate directions. It only can go in one direction. And when these three captains are divided, what these three captains do not know that there is a fourth captain which takes control of the ship. The ship doesn't go anywhere like randomly in random directions. It will be controlled, but from outside. And this force, which causes confusion, is called in Hebrew shatan, which means the adversary or the one who divides. And after confusion, of course, dark occultists can take control with the help of this force called shatan and control the ship, basically. Truly important to know is also the two kinds of cares. I call it light care, like the light, the bright light, and dark, like darkness, dark care. Yeah. Light care is like you are not divided within yourself, and you are aware of what is happening within you and without you, and you do take actions according to the situation you see in the world. That's light care. We can when we see, okay, something evil is happening, we warn other people, and as collectively we take actions to stop it spreading, to stop spreading evil, basically. That's light care. The creator gave us this light so we can basically create whatever good thing we want to see in the world. Dark care, in other hands, because we're talking about psychopaths, they do not have this light of the creator, but they use occult techniques to manipulate us, to trigger this force called shatan and control us. Yeah, they have, because they do not feel empathy or emotions, they have to manipulate us to take our light away and they manipulate us in a way that we build the dark world for them, because only we can do it for them. They can't do it themselves. They only can destroy things. Yeah. I have a good quote from The Art of War. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. The thing is, the dark occultists know how we work, but the masses out there do not know themselves. So we will scrum in every battle. We do not know them, we do not know ourselves. That's why it is so important, this dynamic, to understand it. That's why it's in the first few episodes. I think I talked like a lot. And yeah.
It's great. That was really good. Thanks. Obviously, yeah, it has cut into our time a bit, but it was brilliant to go through that, I think. Yeah, would someone like to pick up straight away, or?
Yeah, sure. I don't mind. Yeah, so, people talk about, love and hate, those diametric opposites or whatever, but what Marcus you touched upon, that seems a lot more accurate, right? And you break down the different types of love, right? Well, let's break down the different types of fear, because they're not all the same, and people lump them a little bit together too much. And today people are throwing shit out like as if they don't even understand the meaning, like, oh, you're fat phobic or whatever phobic, anything that they feel offended and triggered by, they're gonna throw a phobia behind it, not even knowing the fucking word. And same goes for calling people racist for like nothing at all. Anyways, that's part of that shadow projection that they haven't fucking fully processed within themselves, still operating on programs on top of programs, unfortunately. So got to break that fear. And that was a slogan that I held quite dear since high school. I was listening to some really cool conscious underground hip hop, and that was like one of those anthem songs, break that fear. And he would repeat that, through, just different songs here and there, just like, that's like the movement. And we do have to step out of these husks that have been forming, the calcification, if you will, of these programs and the conditioning and all this stuff, because we unfortunately live in a fear-based society. What is it? Where's my funny notes? Just think about, religion, right? You better obey and pray, otherwise you're going to hell. Same with like authority. You better obey, otherwise you're going to jail. And in school, the, Common Core, rotten to the apple of that shit sometimes. You better, learn our, rigid structures or fail, jail, fail, and all this stuff. And maybe you might not even get bail. But there's the other side of this, the fear. And where the hell is this? Let me go back, because I'm, differentiating, the phobias, jumping around. I got, notes and all that good stuff. But so etymologically speaking, phobia is derived from Latin and also Greek. It's like, the definition is excessive or irrational fear of something, So when people just throw it out, that's, it's just like, whatever, like, just get your fucking grammar straight, yo. Like,
So it has something to do with irrationality, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
When you look at the etymology.
Right, and you could take that to that graph of, the confusion part
Yeah.
that Marcus was talking about. And then, you have the word afraid, right? And that word is impressed with fear or being fearful. Originally, the past participle of the now obsolete Middle English word affray, A-F-R-A-Y, meaning like to frighten in the Anglo-French affrayer. So yeah, there's, this, our language is, jumbled with the, Germanic, Latin, French, and that kind of Greek.
It's
But,
funny,
anyways.
to interject, it's funny when people say
Yeah.
that the word's obsolete, because English people still use that word. I've heard people use it. I use it. Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. So, yeah, unfortunately, we're stuck in this fear-based mind control, and that can drive a lot of our actions, and can, obviously we're operating on those levels of confusion, not fully knowing our surroundings, not fully knowing ourselves. So we're not able to navigate properly within ourselves, those internal expressions that are not, aligned and all that. I'm still hearing some feedback, y'all. You got to keep the mics off, please. Otherwise, I'm just going to do it myself. Voila. So, yeah. Fear is the mind killer, and these dark occultists and social engineers know this better than everyone. And also, part of this programming is the media. And I had a chat with the one great work warrior, was talking about like the zombie mindset and all this stuff, and kind of how like there's all these zombie movies and the horror movies, and I've been kind of fascinated as to why people have such a like popular curiosity to those things and all this stuff. And are they, do they like to stare into the abyss and wonder, what the hell, how many people can die a million ways or whatever the fuck, and like all the supernatural aspects. And, yeah, there are the sides of ghosts that have that intrigue for sure. But, the whole Hollywood fluff and, like in real life, when you do that shit, you don't hear any of that background music when so like people got to get out of that fantasy land type of thinking about it, and stay away from your addictive dopamine hits and these adrenaline rushes that people get when they watch these things. And it's not a normal thing for us as human beings to witness, much at all in our lives, so things to consider with that, and how these things play into our minds sometimes. And it really depends on how young people are, and they have these, very impressionable minds that they're subjected to all this stuff. You know, they don't even know themselves and all this stuff. They don't know how to properly process these things and what have you. So yeah, there's people are operating on that like R complex part of the brain, the fight, flight, you know, fear, fawn, freeze, and all these things, right? They're not using the neo cortex, which is why, you know, hey, in the Matrix, wake up, neo cortex, right? To have that full, you know, triune brain properly optimal with the limbic, you know, with the emotions, being able to sail on the oceans and having your captains not so drunk and all, you know, looking like Three Stooges, right? Kind of what Mark was talking about, or the Three Monkeys, as Oscar's got. So yeah, I'm just gonna break the ice with that. I'll come back and yeah, I just wanted to mention just the whole thing with we really got to understand how this fear-based mind control has a grip on us in so many different ways. And yeah, people have like this fear of refusal, rejection, and not being accepted and all that stuff, and just fear of what other people think about them, you know. But to break that fear is really, you know, coming to know yourself more and getting more empowered. And, you know, all this other chatter from even like within your mind, think of what Tico and these mind parasites and whatever the fuck that, you know, the programming, all that stuff, you can break that and know who you are and stand, you know, firmly upon, you know, the temple that you built within yourself, you know, part of that going through the trivium process and, you know, the hero's journey, if you will, like we did last time. So yeah. And I totally did not put my thing up like that, but sorry, Nemo. All right, who's next?
I would like to add on something to that. Yeah, you said phobia from the Greek word phobos, and I wanted just to explain the point of irrational. I once translated, like years ago, a video called "The Consequence of Cowardice" from Memius Brunier, and he made a point in that video that our like ancestors, like the Vikings and Normannic people and German, like Germanic people, tribes, that they had a different look or different perspective on fear. He made a point, a thesis, that they saw fear as a choice. So, and I would very much agree to that, because it is a choice, in my opinion. And I think that Mark Passio once said, or more than once, that doing the right thing is like real courage, is doing the right thing in spite of having fear. And I think that's a real important point to overcome our fears. There is no security on this. Like when you're on a planet circling a sun, there is no security. There is none. Like he explained it, I think, in neo-feminism, like an asteroid or meteorite could hit us every time, and there's nothing we could do about it. It's just an illusion. But the point that so many people like have the need, the feel, or the quote unquote need for security and safety shows that their mind is very much in fear. And when you take the graph that you showed with the manifestation, when you go it backwards, it shows just the step before us was ignorance, so lack of knowledge. That's why they come into fear, into chaos, and like tumble into control from the outside, because they reject the choice of getting knowledge, getting light, getting positive charge, if you so will. And I think that's a important point to make, to just show that the like modern view of fear is it hasn't always been that way. And when you now remember like the Spartans, or like some heroic stories of that time, you can pretty much make a point that it is that there's truth to it, that we really have to like recognize our fear, what we are afraid of, and then confront it and conquer it to be like our own master, our own sovereign. And I think that's a big task, especially with all that mind control that we have been like, yeah, through all these years or decades of our being, of our existence. Like in every news show, in every TV show, it's just fear propaganda or fear porn, how it is called. And in my opinion, it's very important to, for example, meditation can be a very helpful tool, because when you take the fight or flight mode in biological sense, or the most like the majority of your blood is in your extremes, like in your legs, in your arms too. So that you can run faster or fight harder, but it isn't in the torso where it should be for like regeneration and like healing and being in like a sovereign state. You can't like really think clearly and deeply like on concepts or something like that when you are in fear mode. And fear is a mind killer, definitely, but it is a choice. It is a decision we make, and I think it's really really important that more people find their courage and be brave and confront their fear. At least do not succumb to it.
It's great, well said. Yeah, I have a few thoughts. Talking about mind control. It's like it's there's really a very basic mode of this that everyone's familiar with is school. And what are we really scared of school? I mean, at school, are we really scared of being beaten? Not necessarily. What the fear is really is this basic fear. The reason that we remain under control in that kind of scenario is this fear of rejection from the tribe, basically being humiliated, being outed, being separated, and it's such a basic fear. And as just to say, like, we've got loads of comments coming in. Hello, everyone that's watching. It's great to have these comments coming in. And I just was going to pick up on one. Leslie said, fear is a physiological survival-based response. Of course it is. Of course we need we need fear at that level. But when we were discussing this in the chat, the Telegram chat, which you're all invited to, by the way, the links in the description. This week, we were talking about fear, and I think Floor said this thing about motion. It's like if fear moves through you, it has a purpose, it has a function, it can help you to run away, to respond, etc. But then it needs, we need to have that fluidity to come out of it, and we don't. And this is what I've really thought about this week, really feeling into this subject, is I'm scared. I can talk about shadow work, and we have been talking about shadow work for now 3 weeks, and it kind of occurred. Another thing that occurred to me this week is that fear is really like the root of shadow work. It's like really what you're ultimately trying to get into is this superhuman state, it seems like, of being fearless, or where fear has its function biologically in the moment, but it's not driving you. It's not able to allow you to be controlled externally, as other people have been saying. I mean, that's such a huge kind of function of it. And yeah, well, I mean, just as an example of that, I mean, obviously we all remember the dreadful disease that plagued us all like a few years ago. and something that was used to sort of help protect us, you know, in those times was this came from a government agency in this country. There's a quote that they came, which was basically used to help, like, you know, control people's behavior to protect them from the terrible disease. And the quote is, "A substantial number of people still do not feel sufficiently personally threatened. The perceived level of personal threat needs to be increased among those who are complacent, using hard-hitting emotional messaging," which was certainly done very effectively at that time. You know, and that's the kind of thing. So you have to sort of really determine, you know, whether, not necessarily in that case, but, you know, in other cases, we need to be aware that people might actually not always have our best interests at heart when they're frightening us, or pressing that fear button, which is so deeply ingrained in all of us. And it's ingrained, you know, it's almost seems a bottomless pit, you know. And speaking, you know, this process going on the internet and speaking to the world, it makes me scared, you know, but I've sort of overcome that to a certain degree to do this show. And I want to do more because, you know, this is an example of kind of, for me, it's stretching myself in that way. But the more I've thought about this subject, the more I'm like, well, I'm literally scratching the surface. You know, there's so much to do, and there's this collective fear that we have that goes really deep. And just to sort of bring in another quote, this was a guy that I'd sort of forgotten about, but he wrote a book called, which is a really powerful title, I think, called "Only Fear Dies," Barry Long, and he says, he said, "I die now, not in agony, not in pain, but in conscious life, dying to everything except what is. And in dying daily to my unhappiness, dying for life, I finally realize the incredible truth. There is no death. All that dies is my fear of dying. Only fear dies. And the death of fear is liberation." Another quote of his is, "The main barrier to truth is fear." So he wrote a lot about this, and maybe this seems a little bit left field to bring that in, but it was an interesting quote that I remembered, and an interesting book that I read back in the day. So I will pass it on. Thank you.
Oscar
Very true
Peron?
words.
Yeah, sure. I'm just gonna check that my mic is a good level. Perfect. Yeah, I think what you were doing, Derek, by kind of distinguishing between different types of fear was really valuable, because like from the first impression, I would say, like, fear is just, it's simple. It's just fear. It's me shitting my pants, or like shaking, or, you know, scared of a threat. Like it's fear. Like it's so obvious. But what you were doing felt valuable, because yeah, there's definitely different aspects to it, or like different elements to it. So there's the collective fears, as you were kind of hinting to, Nemo, the which you also went into, Derek, like the manipulation, and or maybe the like the cultural beliefs we have. One of them someone mentioned was the fear of punishment. We go to school and we're scared of some punishment from an authority figure, which is where, like, the what's it called, the Milgram experiment is really interesting, and that's all about how people will be afraid to disobey. Generally, there's tendency in our culture to to be afraid of disobeying a figure that is perceived as an authority. And that's where this Milgram experiment is really interesting, how people will conform to the wishes of a person who is wearing, you know, like a doctor thing or whatever. And so yeah, there's that. There's the fear of punishment, the fear of you could say, like, archetypically, it's the parent that is the mean parent that is gonna tell you to go sit in the corner or something. I don't know. And so there's that really strong belief of that our value is kind of limited in that way, that we're not more worthy of you know, of education in a way. I think that's the way I see it, that we are treated like a dog would be treated, like you get a treat or you get the punishment, and in the same way,
Pavlovian
like
style.
one more time.
Pavlovian style.
Pavlovian style, exactly. And I don't want to like oversimplify it, but in some way I think that the whole money system in a way is a bit like that. Like, am I gonna help you out because I want you to go further on your journey, and I see that as being valuable because you have infinite value, and I want to give you something that will help you along? Or am I stuck in this, I'll only do it if I get a treat, like I'll only do it if I get something out of it, and believe that your value is limited by the amount of money or like the digits or the cash you have? And that's not to say that there's nothing true to the fact that we can like have a symbol of value, or we can have something symbolizing whatever. I'm not going to go too much into money, but I think one of these fear-based beliefs is this belief of our limited value, the limited value of the individual. Another one is that fear of lack, the fear of there not being enough. And then there's the belief in the impossibility of change, that things are just the way they are and you can't really change anything, that it's just a loop. The perception of time plays big into that, because it's Sunday now, then it's going to become Monday, and then in a week it's going to become Monday. And if we have a belief of time where it's just repeating and there's no progress really, but it's just like a loop, like a rat race, then that can subconsciously make us believe that there's no need to try to change things. Another one is also the I think I went into that. Yeah, I think what I'm trying to say is that there's these worldview fear-based beliefs that are part of, you could say, manipulation and mind control. But in one way, it's not really even someone like keeping you in that, even though I do perceive that as being a part of our reality or our culture, is that it's artificial, it's made, but it's also us doing it to ourselves by just not challenging it, by not questioning it. So I think that's, for me, is what I think fear is important to understand about it, that it's scared of asking questions, it's scared of challenging the comfort zone, if you will. It's not going further, it's not expanding that consciousness, as you put it, Markus, in the beginning. It's not engaging with information. It's like you were saying, Vuk, like all the energy is like in the limbs, and you're trying to survive. I really like this image that I saw first in one of Leslie Powers'. Oh wait, I got you. A minute, like this, which is all about how when you're in crisis, when you're trying to survive all the time, then you don't really, your focus is on that, right? And that, yeah, Vuk, you also kind of said this, that we're not really healing, we're not reasonable when we're in fear. We're not thinking straight, if you will. So that there's a big need to be very to discriminate what information we're gonna look into. Like, not to say we shouldn't look into the things that can scare us, going down the rabbit hole. That's very good to do, but we don't want to dwell on so much information about reality that is going to make us so sad that we don't remember to have a laugh once in a while, and or to look at the beauty and have that solitude, or have that like that calm and that. Yeah, I think for me, solitude is a big part of it. I don't know if I can say that thing is true for everybody, but being able to kind of recharge, and in whatever way one does that, to kind of not be in that, oh shit, I got all these things I gotta do, and just. Someone also mentioned meditation. That's probably the best way to do it, right? Is to come home. But anyway, I'm not about the solution. I'm about scaring the shit out of you, because it's all about fear. You gotta be scared. Can I show a meme or two more? I think I got some cool memes here somewhere. So yeah, this one, this was a big part of my awakening. Was a gentleman called Ethan Indigo Smith, and he's a guy that spoke about these 4 archetypes of how humans generally react to information. So if we start with this guy here, or this monkey, we probably all heard about the wise monkeys. So this is like an Asian or like a Japanese saying of see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. But usually in the Western interpretation, a 4th monkey is missing, and it's the fear no evil. It's the do no evil. And yeah, so this was a gentleman called Ethan Indigo Smith, who wrote. He's written a lot about this, and it's basically about the 4 archetypical reactions to information. So if we take it one by one, if you have the see no evil, well, that's ignoring information, right? That's not looking into anything, and just that's just being an idiot, basically. Not knowing oneself, not having any clue whatsoever, because one has no interest. Like, one is just afraid of, one is fearing new information. Is you're closing your eyes to the world. And then if you take the next one, this is like the reaction where you've seen a bit about reality, but you don't want to hear more information. You think you've got it all figured out. And so this is like the person that is like fanatic. So they found out everything they need to know, right? It's only the Jews, or like it's only the immigrants, or it's all the woke people, or whatever it is. Like you have like your scapegoat, and you don't want to hear anything more. It's just those capitalists, or it's just those communists. You don't really want to look into more information. Then you have the people who are more like elitists. So they can both see and hear, but they don't speak. They take advantage of the idiots and the fanatic people, because these guys here, they're in a knowledge deficit, you could say. They don't know enough. But these people, they know enough, and they can take advantage of that. The majority of people don't know. And the solution to all that is just not fearing reality. As I was kind of saying before, you want to look into reality, but you still want to, as this monkey reaction is, it's sitting in that pose of relaxing in a way, or not relaxing this and being passive, but not panicking, not being afraid of new information, not just looking, observing it, considering it and then also speaking it. It's not covering its mouth. So I think that's a really cool saying. And I think one thing about these four monkeys is that they're not all wise. We often hear of them as the three or the wise monkeys, right? But what's wise about closing your eyes to evil, or not hearing any evil, or not speaking any evil? Like saying to someone that they're evil, like a fucking Nazi, and telling them to the face that you're, by following orders or by supporting mutilation on children or like experimentation, that's not evil. That's not that's wise. It's wise to confront people. The only wise monkey out of these four is the one that's not fearing any evil, that's not doing anything evil by ignoring evil, or by, you know, yeah, sorry, I've been ranting. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Param, on fear, and thanks everyone for hearing my thoughts here.
No, it's not a rant at all. I think it was really interesting. I never saw those monkeys that way. Anyway, it's a really inspiring way of seeing it. Oh, look up there. Oh, I wanna come back. Just come back to Sun Tzu's quote. It's a very interesting quote, and there are actually four combinations, and there's one missing. Not that you missed one, but I think Sun Tzu maybe missed one, because if one knows thyself and your enemy, should fear no bad outcome in any battle. Okay, that's one. Then there's the one that he knows himself, but not the enemy. And then for every battle won, he'll lose the next. But then
You lose something, yeah. You lose something.
yeah. But there's another one is if you know yourself, but you don't know your enemy. Oh,
No, you know, neither. Not
yeah,
yourself.
but then there's two combinations possible. Either you know yourself, but you don't know the enemy, or you know the enemy, but you don't know yourself.
If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every
But the
victory
outcome is
gained.
different. But the outcome should be different. And I think when you know yourself, but you don't know the enemy, you lose. You eventually lose. For every battle won, you'll lose the next. But if you don't know yourself, but you know your enemy, you'll probably become the enemy you're pretending to fight. Typically the Antifa that behave in very tyrannical ways. But they're fighting fascism, don't they? But they behave that way. So that's, and then of course, then he who knows himself, and knows the enemy, will have a good chance of winning mainly any battle and win the war. This is just suggested, but there are four possibilities. I see there are combinations of knowing yourself, not knowing yourself, not knowing your enemy, knowing your enemy, not knowing yourself, knowing both or ignoring both. And I wanted to interject on I think the Milgram experiment. I think it's we don't have enough time to develop all the different variations of that experiment, which is really interesting, and it reveals a lot of the human psyche. What's been implemented in the human psyche, God knows how or where. And I mean, I think Mark Passio touches upon this, and it relates to our very ancient history, the beatings of it. Yeah. But there's one very, very positive variation of the experiment when the next candidate, which is supposed to hit the electricity, the décharge électrique, he witnesses the previous one giving the good example to stop when the one being shocked, refuses, and then the percentage of people going all the way to the deadly what's it called, the discharge, electro
Electroshock. Yeah.
yeah, drops all the way down, instead of, I can't remember where, I think it was 66 or even more when they don't witness anything, but when they witness people going all along the way, it's even worse, of course. And that relates if to the group, l'instinct grégaire, the instinct of belonging to the group. So everybody is afraid to be ostracized, of course.
But also inspired by someone who does the good example. That's what you're saying, right? That
Yeah,
there's a positive
that's a
side
very
to this
positive.
experiment.
Yeah, and very few people know about that variation of the experiment, which is very telling of what we are supposed to do. Is just incarnate, or just be the example around us. I mean, that's the everyday job, 24/7, I guess. Anyway, that's just oh yeah, and Oscar, you were talking about fear, and the self-made limitations. Maybe it's out of the subject. That's a bit, maybe like a little aside, but it's like, it reminds me of something artificial. It's almost like there's also another variation of fear. It's we discussed phobia, and then there's anxiety, and anxiety is an unexplained or unidentified source of fear. So there's something there, and it's like almost like you're feeding an egregore. Um, do you know this word, egregore? It's like this.
No, I don't know it.
Oh, that's getting kind of. There are no positive egregores. It's like this in the astral field, when people. Well, sorcerers do this practices. I should work on this before I talk about it, because it's I just
How do
but
you
it's
spell it? How do you spell the word egregore?
egregore, EG, maybe double G. I'm not sure. R.
We can put it in the chat.
Huh? Yeah. Anyway, Wittgenstein talks about. I mean, a lot of occultists talk about egregores. It's creating a demon, and there's 4 steps.
That's not true. It could go either negative or positive, man.
Well, apparently
It's a
egregores.
collective consciousness that's creating something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It all depends on
Okay.
the programming of that and intentions behind it.
So apparently egregores, if they're positive, because we can also emanate positive projections, but that goes back to the source, and starts. It takes part of the the overall light. But the egregores have a big they create a life of itself, and it has its own own. It's what people called entities, or um, uh, the jinns. Could probably be a good as illustrations. That's the more Arabic word. Okay, I'm good. Somebody else wanna?
Thanks. Some good stuff there. I mean, it's been really great discussion. Obviously, it's a short show. That's kind of the idea. So we're hitting an hour basically. So if anyone wants to throw in a very short last thoughts, you're welcome.
Yeah, I have still a quote left from a German facilitator. She's called Vera Birkenbiel, a very wise one. It's a quote about a little bit about the fear and the ignorance. The quote goes like, "Most people are terrified of even thinking through a thought that doesn't fit in their worldview." think it's a beautiful quote. But I wanted to mention it.
Can we have all these nice quotes in the chat, or
Sure.
I didn't have time to write them all down, and the names of.
I will let you know. Yeah.
Great.
I'd like to kind of add one thing, because earlier on I was saying, like, if you're like constantly in a survival mode, then you probably want to meditate and stuff. I was just thinking, there are victims of war, like people who are like, or like people who, it's not just the culture of you know, struggling to survive, but they're actually in a very dangerous situation where like they're being either like abused or they're being, you know, maybe even bombed or something. And obviously I'm not speaking about those people should just meditate and, you know, like be more open to information or something like that. I'm not trying to say that those people, you know, just gotta do some more shadow work. They probably do need to heal and do that stuff, but I'm probably saying that that's the chaos. That's not the kind of fear I was speaking of, even though of course that is also fear when you're in that situation. But in that situation, it actually makes a lot of sense. Like if there's a lion right over there and I'm afraid that it's gonna eat me, that makes sense. But if I'm in a situation where there isn't really a lion and I'm scared of a lion, then again it's sounding a bit more irrational, like it's like a phobia of lions or something, right? Or I don't know if that's I'm using it correctly, but I think
terrorized.
But yeah,
Yeah.
and traumatized, and that kind of what creates a phobia. That can be that catalyst. I wanted to add that up in that. Yeah.
I have a big feel for Palestinians. I mean, that's not.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Can I go? Were you done, Oscar? Sorry, I didn't want to cut
you
you
know,
off.
I was done. I actually, that was what I was thinking about. I was just thinking about, you know, there's these children being fucking mutilated by fucking bombs and like having their homes destroyed and watching their elderly die because there's no medicine, like the medicine is being stopped, all of this crazy shit. And the people who are scared that this will continue because they're suffering from it directly, of course, those people are responding appropriately. I mean, fear in that case is probably very good to be in that adrenaline, even though I'm not saying that they're on their own. I think we have to, like, as people who are in the West and are even maybe supporting Denmark is supporting the genocide and so on. I think what an individual in this part of the world can do, instead of just being afraid and just seeing all these videos and be like, oh shit, it's happening. I'm not saying it's bad to look at the videos. I'm saying we shouldn't be like in that. We shouldn't, like, what's, as you were saying before, like look at to get like the dopamine kind of adrenaline and like, oh my god, it's so horrible, the world is going bananas. We should we should look at that graph that we were speaking of early on, the natural law graph, maybe even draw it for ourselves and understand that what that is, that situation, that is the chaos, that is the evil. That is this here, and what caused it is the fear. So the people who are living in that chaos, who are experiencing the fear, it's not the same kind of fear that we're speaking of here, really. That was my point. The fear, I think, here is like, what do you manifest with? So I would say, like, those people in that situation, well, they're not really manifesting with fear by trying to survive. It's more like the order followers who are manifesting with fear, who are doing that. Oh, you got some art for us?
Yeah, that's the oh wait, it's the other way around. Yeah, it's the 10 expressions.
Super cool.
And French again. La peur. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, we should definitely if you got a link it for on the video, because you got some amazing art. And also a shameless shout out to I want to do a shout out to Leslie Powers, who's got some incredible presentations on how to arrive at thriving, and how to deal with a lot of different people do. But Leslie Powers is one of those people can check out. She's got a website, I think it's called aliveThrive.life, if I'm not mistaken. And she got really cool stuff. Also, there's a short book by THEO called PTSD, Time to Heal. There's lots of authors, so it's a great topic to look into and educate ourselves on, because we're living in a culture that needs that we honor that healing, that we can help each other, not like interfere in that healing process, and maybe even support it. And that's easier said than done, but let's do it.
Fuck yeah, brother. And I appreciate you mentioning those kind words. And Leslie's partner, KRIS Jansen, gave me this, which is, from someone in the natural law group. He made a whole print of these, so you guys can order them yourselves. And I have the pleasure and honor to be up in End Evil Studios of, KRIS Jansen, where the Waterbird speaks, a la Leslie Powers and all that. Yeah, it's a wonderful connection. And in conclusion, this whole fear thing, it can kind of seem like supernatural at times, and like it could take a grip of like this debilitating thing. Like people can be like, the paralyzed from fear, that kind of stuff, And we really got to ask ourselves, deep within your chest, like, what really ultimately strikes fear into the hearts and minds of men, And what I've kind of concluded with that, it's like the fear of death and the fear of the unknown. And you could take that to all different types of things that, you're just unaware of these things. So it's unknown to you. You go on this hero's journey, right? The underworld, the unknown, it's a lot deeper than the outer world and what the people know, like the going through the initiation and stuff. And that fear, that paralyzation can stall and stagnate people who hear the call, and they're scared of what that entails, and so they never even step into that hero's journey and go into the underworld much at all, And that's what this real work is. It's not, like, there's no fluffing around, really. You can't just dip your toes in the wells of wisdom and expect, like, no. And you can't, get these things from appetizers and little TikTok video Tic Tacs, So yeah, just take that and just check out our last video we did in regards to Hero's Journey. I really enjoyed that, as well as this one. So thank you all. And for everyone in the chat on the Europa Natural Law YouTube channel, really appreciate your comments. Sorry we're not really highlighting them and showcasing them on the on this live stream, but yeah, it's watch out for staring into the abyss. And like what KRIS Jansen said, yeah, with the whole conspiratorial world, people are watching that shit like porn, and there's a lot of fear porn out there. So watch out. I mean, that's even on mainstream media as well, which is why they show all the violence and stuff and this and that. So yeah, they keep you in that survival state using on the R complex part of the brain and all that stuff. So yeah, thank you. If anyone's trying to speak, they might be muted.
Sorry, did I not unmute myself? I just said Vuk or Markus, did you want to jump in just for a last word? Oh, Markus, you already did have a last word, didn't you? Sorry.
Yeah.
You can have one more if you want. If you want more.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it's yeah, we just need to stop this fear. We have to take our lights back, because only we sentient beings are really able to manifest things in this world. And when we stop fear, we stop all the madness which is going on. And like Param, I think it was Param who said it, like when you start showing bravery, others will follow your lead, basically. So it's just, maybe you are the one, you are like one, like the same letters as Neo, the chosen one. Yeah, it's not just one chosen one. Basically, everyone can be the chosen one. So yeah, start being
Even
bravery
me.
and do not worry. We can stop this if we want to.
Vuk, anything? Any last
Yeah,
thoughts?
the journey has to start in yourself, in your heart. It's a decision. It's possible to like overcome fear and anxiety and to step out of this karma circle. And I think that's a very big part of all the shadow work thing or topic. And I think what Markus said, courage is contagious, definitely, and we should, like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. So we should just make the decision and try to be more brave, more courageous, overcome the fear.
Yeah. So yeah, as Derek was suggesting, basically we can't take the hero's journey without going into the unknown, and it's I think I realized this after we spoke about it last week, that the you have, you know, if you're looking at this hero's journey, whichever way, I don't know if I'm backwards, but whichever way it goes from your point of view, the top of that circle, I think, is the world of effects. And it's not until you enter into the unknown and you make actual changes, that's the world of causes. So you have to face something difficult to make a change, to create a cause in this world. Yeah, so I just thought I'd end on that. And yeah, this has been such a great thing for me. I don't know what subject we're going to go on to next, but it's been very interesting for me to contemplate this and think about this subject and think about where I'm, and to be honest, you know, again, which I think I ended on last week, you know, being honest with myself about, well, am I this big courageous lion that's, you know, ready to, that can take anything on, that will stand up for truth regardless of what I'm threatened by? You know, is that really me? Am I really there yet? You know, what do I need to do to really get there? It's like, it's such a challenge to really look at those things. So I'd encourage everyone to what's he holding up? Oh yeah, the lion. Yeah, nice. Okay, so thanks everyone. Great chat, and thanks to everyone behind the scenes making this happen, the people on the chat, you know, through the week. As I said previously, all the links for everything that we're doing are in the description. And thanks to all the people watching. Please, everyone on the show, off the show, in the chat, go and smash that like button right now if you want to promote the channel. And I'll leave that at that. And that's it. Thanks, everyone. Until next time, until next week, I'm Nemo Jones, reporting for Beauty. And I look forward to seeing you all next time on Europa Natural Law.